Welcome back with a smiling face. Links to previous episodes are given in the video description, so don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video. Taming the Ruthless Alpha. Episode 7. Chapter 60. Livy. The crowd quieted down. And after his members came and smothered him, joyful to see him back and safe with them, they went about their business to give him time to be with me. My brother pulls away slowly, after the umpteenth hug. We both seemed to just want to hold each other, and frankly, I was very much okay with that. He cups my face and smiles. I'm never losing you again, understand? He says, making me smile through joyful tears. He hugs me around my shoulders, placing his palm over my head and kissing me on top of my head. Alaric, thank you, for all that you've done. Brandon tells Ricky as they shake hands firmly. Ricky purses his lips, nodding in recognition. And thank you, for taking such good care of my little sister. He says, making Ricky smile as he looks at me and winks. Ricky's beautiful blue orbs glistened. Truly, I had the best mate our goddess could have ever given me. And now, the best brother as well. Like I said before, King, it's my pleasure. I'd do anything for Livy and her family. She's my life. He says as I pull away from Brandon and grab Ricky's hand, kissing his lips and pressing my head against his chest as I engulf him in a tight hug. The all too familiar sparks of our mating bond filled me with the comfort and contentment I needed. I love you, Ricky, I said lovingly, hugging him tightly. I could feel him smiling as he pressed a kiss on the top of my head. You're welcome to stay as long as you want. Your pack members as well. Ricky says as the word gets out that Brandon has arrived and his members still keep coming to greet him. Everyone surrounded him in awe, hugging him, older ladies kissing his cheeks as if they were his mom, and kids jumping to his arms and grabbing him around his legs. He was obviously a good leader, and I felt so proud of him. I won't lie, my pack was a little scared, worried, and skeptical about my brother's pack and his arrival. I mean, who wouldn't? The thought of having rogues in their pack always meant trouble. Danger. And here we are, having the hopes to see them stay a while with us. Most seem to be coming around little by little in such little time. But I can't help but realize that many of them look so familiar. They couldn't help but stand around looking everywhere I went with my brother and Ricky. They watched him with wondering eyes, unable to believe they were in the presence of the notorious Rogue King himself. You are like a celebrity here, brother, I said smiling, making him chuckle. I'm not. I'm just another ordinary guy, just like everyone else. I'm no one special, he says, looking down at the floor and kicking a tiny pebble. I could tell he was blushing, not being used to the praise my pack was giving him. Dad and Brandon had hugged from our re-encounter a while back, but he was eager to look around. I think Dad was doing it on purpose to give Ricky and me some time to be alone with Brandon though. He had left while winking at me. I was at ease knowing Dad had left to explore our pack's territory with Zane and Tate. They had gotten along right away, and Zane had offered to give Dad a tour of our pack. As for Ricky, my brother, and we have been talking non-stop. It wasn't until now that I realized many things. As I sat next to my brother, watching him carefully, I couldn't help but see his many scars. He was no longer the little kid I once remembered. He was a man full of scars. Scars that almost cost his life many times. I cried during my first months in this pack, knowing Ricky was out there fighting, hoping he came back alive. It was even worse to see him return, having to clean all that blood which was mainly from the wolves he fought, but some of his own as well. I treated his battle wounds, which always shattered me. To even think that Ricky and Brandon fought against each other many times. It's so overwhelming. SHHH. No, I hear a group of girls say. You, a boy says, gesturing to the girls. No, you ask him. What? Why? I'm scared, the boy says. Chicken. Another teen girl says. I chuckled as I heard the group of our teens trying to approach us. Ricky and Brandon were completely engulfed in a conversation but paused, turning towards the group of teens. The teens gasped, freezing on the spot. Boys. Ladies, it's not very polite to not greet. Ricky says, making their cheeks tint with a slight hue of red. Good afternoon, Alpha Alaric. Good afternoon, Luna Livy, they say, looking at us and lowering their head slightly in respect. Good afternoon, sir, they say, making Brandon and me chuckle slightly. Please, call me Brandon. Right. Good afternoon, Alpha Brandon. No. Just Brandon, he says, waving his hands, chuckling. But, you are an alpha, your pack said it themselves. You're their alpha, and your aura is as strong as our alpha, so, you're an alpha, right? The boy says, making Brandon's face fill with a bit of pain. No, son. I'm just their leader. We don't have a pack, we're just a group of men, women, and children who stick together to protect each other, he says, smiling with a gleam in his eyes. By the way, to me, he's totally an alpha, and they totally are a pack. The teens didn't know what to say. They were timid for some odd reason. Is it true that you're the Rogue King? One of the girls asks. Brandon chuckles, nodding his head as he places his hand over his left thigh. I guess you could say that, yes, he says, making them gasp. I told you, the boy says. What? It's true. I knew it, a girl adds. But, Alpha Ricky, everyone always says that rogues are dangerous. They're feral creatures with no manners or reason of thought. Ricky and Brandon burst out in laughter, making the girls blush in embarrassment, and earning a warning glare from me. They both stop, clearing their throats in embarrassment. No, Tanner. That's not always true. Many do. They become violent and lose their human capabilities, but those who are strong and have a good heart will remain as any normal werewolf. I mean, you saw everyone in his pack, group. Brandon interrupts Ricky, making me roll my eyes. Son, a pack is important not just to give every member a safe haven, but the family and support they need among countless other reasons. Whether that pack has actual territory to rely on for safety set with homes or tents, what matters is the people they are surrounded by. Not everyone can survive without a pack. Loneliness can make the weak vulnerable to losing their sanity. But you have now seen that we should not judge a book by its cover, or in this case, you should not always believe everything that is said about a person based on what everyone else says. Ricky says, making my lips tug into a smile. The teens stay for a while asking countless questions. Some toward Ricky, some toward Brandon and me. The more we sat with them, the more at ease they felt. All their worries and doubts about all the newcomers into our pack slowly vanished away. Well, I'm glad our Luna finally found her brother. I hope you can stay with us for a while, Alpha Brandon, a girl says, making Brandon chuckle. Despite his protests and countless times correcting them that he wasn't an alpha, he had given up. Thank you. I'm very warmed by your hospitality. Alpha Rick and your Luna should be proud that you guys were taught so well by your parents to be so kind, he says, making them smile brighter. Mi casa es so casa, one of the smallest girls says, making Brandon blush, smiling at her. Thank you. Third-person POV. A few days later, Leah has been avoiding a conversation with Skyla. She knows he's found his fated mate, and she is trying her hardest not to be rejected. By this, I mean she's been running from him every time he wants to talk. But little does he know that Leah has also found her mate. She was automatically attracted to him. His lean hard body was filled with battle wounds, filled with all the right muscles in all the right places. The scar over his eye that made him just more interesting. But if she was so infatuated with him, why was she avoiding Skyla and the rejection from him? Surely, she didn't care about him or what happened to him or his pack. Let alone whatever happens to Madeline. She was frustrated, irritated, and filled with anger that she relished, taking all of her frustration out on Madeline, her new target. She hadn't slept in the same room as Skyla. He had been sleeping in separate quarters since the day of the rescue mission. She smelled the scent of her true mate and loved it, but he was unfazed by her presence. It broke her, knowing he was so indifferent to her. How dare he act so indifferent? Didn't he know she wanted him? Needed him? Desired him? Leah! Leah, wait! Skyla grabs Leah by the arm and pulls her back gently as she tries to continue to walk away from him. What? Skyla? What do you want? Haven't you had enough drooling over that tramp and following her around like a lost pup? She spat at him, making him growl in annoyance. You forget who you're talking to, Leah. I am still your alpha, regardless of our situation. Oh, please. Since when do I have to watch how I talk to you? You're so pathetic. Don't try to act all tough with me now that you've found your new toy, she says, making Skyla growl louder. His primal instincts got the best of him for a second, grabbing Leah by the throat and pressing her against the wall behind them. Watch your tone with me, woman. I am tired of taking you. You know we can't continue with this farce. We are not true mates and you have obviously never cared for my pack, he says, squeezing tighter around her neck. Skyla, his mom calls out to him, making him enter into reason. He lets go of a scared Leah, making her gasp for air as she holds her neck and coughs. What is going on here? She asks, looking at them worriedly. Oh, Mom! Skyla is going mad. Can you believe he's trying to reject me? Me? His chosen mate and wife, she says, making Skyla's mom roll her eyes. Leah dear, cut the crap. You and I both know you can care about my son and the pack, let alone the Luna's title. Do you think I don't know that all you wanted was the rich and luxurious life that came with the title? If I didn't know better, I would think you were Noah's daughter and not my son. You are just as covetous and greedy as Noah is, she says, making Leah angry. She clenched her jaw, crossing her hands over her chest in defiance. I do not. I loved Skyla. He's my mate. Mine. And I refuse to be rejected over some whore he just met, she says, making Skyla pinch the bridge of his nose, feeling irritated. Leah, for goodness sake, why are you making this harder than it should be? Leah, I know it's not fair. I never expected to find my true mate. I love you, and you are always going to have a place in my heart. But the truth is, you and I have been falling apart way before Madeline even came into our lives. I'm sorry, Leah. I truly am, but we need to let each other go. Skyla says lovingly, trying to make Leah understand, but she won't have it. He hugs her, sighing and hoping she takes the rejection right. His heart is troubled and confused. He's always loved Leah, or at least, that's what he thought. He had never known any other girlfriend but her. Despite his fooling with other girls, he always came back to her, just as she always came back to him. The fact that their romance had been complicated never bothered him. He was content with what they had because that's what he thought was the way things had to be. Leah was adamant she would not take his rejection even if it was the last thing she did, but, what if she saw him again? What if her mate did sense her presence and was looking for her too? The thought finally dawned on her as she placed her head on Skyla's shoulder. No. You're right, we need to end it, she says, thinking of the bigger fish she needs to catch. Really? You're not mad at me? No. Sky, you will always be special to me, but you're right, this isn't working out anymore, she says, making Skyla and his mom exchange glances. They were baffled for a second, but if he didn't take advantage, who knows what else Leah would be up to. Very well, then, Skyla Morrison, Alpha of the Silver Moon Pack, reject you, Leah. His words were like a sweet melody. Now that she was free from him, she had the freedom to look forward to her new mate. She knew by his presence, his posture, and the aura that he emitted that he was a wealthy and powerful man. Who knows, maybe he was even wealthier than Alaric. She repeated the same words, rejecting Skyla, and waiting for the feeling of their bond to break. She awaited the pain with joy, hearing how many mates go through excruciating pain. A pain she was willing to go through, as long as it meant a better life awaiting her. But to her surprise, the pain was minimal. It was more like a tiny stomach pain, a tingling pull on her chest as the bond between them broke. It was as if she had shifted into a new reality, almost as if she had only gotten a bit dazzled and nothing more. That's it? She asked, concerned if they had done it right. I think so. Skyla says, feeling just as confused as well. I thought it would be worse, she says, shrugging her shoulders, and letting go of his hands. I guess this is all. Leah, okay, well, bye, she says, smiling and turning on her heels. She leaves, not standing another second in their presence. Skyla looks at his mom, feeling a bit confused and hurt by her reaction. He was taking the breakup as a bit more painful than she was. I'm sorry, son. But, you have Madeline now. She looks like a nice girl, she says, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Yeah, you're right, he says, feeling a bit empty inside. I want to make things right, Mom. For Maddie and me. But it's still hard. I really did love Leah, even if she wasn't right for me, he says, lowering his head. Sweetie, a breakup is never easy, especially one like yours. I know you cared for Leah, but she was trouble. I'm just glad you started opening your eyes to the real Leah. Maddie will be a good mate, I know it. Make things right with her, and don't let her down. Be your real self with her. That's all she wants, that's how it should be. Skyla, Mom says in a low motherly loving voice. Yeah, I guess you're right, he says, closing his eyes and sighing. I'm not going to pressure Maddie. I'll take things slow with her, just as I promised. She deserved a good mate, and that's what I will give her, even if it takes me a lifetime to prove to her that I can be a good mate, he says, holding his mom's hand in his and squeezing it lightly. That's my boy. Now go to her. Go to Maddie and tell her the news, she says, smiling at him through hopeful eyes. Skyla runs, looking everywhere for Maddie and asking everyone if they have seen her. After looking for her for nearly 20 minutes, he finally comes to the nursery where Maddie is helping the ladies take care of the newborns. She holds a tiny little girl in her hands, cooing her to sleep as she sings quietly to the baby girl. Skyla can't help but feel a pull at his heart, smiling brightly as he sees Maddie with the baby in her arms. He slowly walks up to her and waits for her to acknowledge him. Once she sees him, she smiles, and the gleam in his eyes is all she needs to know what has happened. She smiles and continues to rock the baby as his hand rests on her back and the other hand soothes the baby on her tiny head. We'll take our time. I promise I'll wait until you're ready, he says, making her eyes water, and smiling through the knot in her throat. He slowly leans down, placing a feather-like kiss on her lips, and sighs as he feels the surge of sparks through their body. Mine, he whispers in her lips, making her smile grow. Mine, she replies, making his heart swell with happiness. Livy, when the night came, I hugged my dad and Brandon goodnight and felt overwhelmed at how well they had gotten along with Ricky. Surely, it was still a bit awkward. Having us go from thinking the Rogue King was our #1 enemy to him being none other than my brother and finding my dad on top of that. Man, it was a lot to take in, but nonetheless I am so happy. I have never felt so happy and complete as I do right now. What else could happen to make this better? I don't think I could ask for more. I feel so content with everything. Every day that goes by, I see my brother and Ricky getting along better and better, and my dad has fit in with our pack and my father-in-law so well. You would never think they were rogues for a while. I love you, Daddy. Good night. I said, bending down and kissing my dad on his forehead after I gave him a big bear hug. I love you too, my beautiful girl. You have sweet dreams, he says, cupping my face and kissing my forehead. Good night, son, he tells Ricky, making Ricky smile. Good night, sir, he says, shaking my dad's hand. Ricky smiles, running his hand on the small of my back as we say our proper good nights. We made our way into our room after a long day and I sighed after taking my shoes off. I took a seat at the edge of the bed, and let my hair fall freely from the tight bun I had it in. The girls told me that you authorized Brandon's pack to enter our school system while they're still here, I said, looking at Ricky while he began to undress. He smiles, pulling off his tie and kicking off his shoes. I did. I mean, they'll be here for a while, or at least until the council approves for them to return. But if you ask me, their territory is not very suitable for them to live in. No offense. But until we can get them proper housing, I asked Brandon to stay here. Those kids will be far behind in school if they don't attend, so I figured why not let them join our schools? I don't care who says otherwise, their education is very important, baby. They deserve better treatment and a good education is essential to their future, he says, making me smile as I see him take his shirt off. Ricky has always been big with the education of our pack. It didn't surprise me that he would talk my brother into making sure that every kid and teen attended school. He begins to unbuckle his belt, and I bite my bottom lip as I see his muscles flex under him so effortlessly. I have been extremely hormonal lately, and no matter how many times we do it at night, I am left famished for him. Insatiable with desires for him. I don't know what has gotten into me, even Freya has been acting weird. I know how important it is for you, baby. Thank you for all the help you've given my brother. I say, smiling and taking a deep sigh. He smiles, making his dimples show and his bright blues glisten. Let me help, baby, I say as I get up and walk toward him, running my hand over his chest and taking the strap of his belt in my hand. His hand slowly trails over my waist, pulling me closer to him. I know what you're doing, you naughty, naughty girl, he says as his hand interlaced in my hair, pulling me against him and he begins to kiss my lips. I can't help but smile, trailing my hands over his chest and wrapping them around his neck. Can you blame me? Look at you. You're so cute. I say, kissing his lips and giving him access to my mouth. I want you so bad right now. I whisper, kissing him back, deepening our kiss. Naughty. Naughty girl. You're already wet and ready for daddy, he says, making me smile. Always. I'm always ready for you, daddy. I say as my voice comes out in a whimper, no, baby. Please, don't stop. I protest, on your knees, baby, he says as he looks at me with his eyes. I love the taste of him, just the thought of him in my mouth makes my mouth water. I love you, Mrs. Donnelly, he says in a husky tone, making me smile. I place my hand over his chest, and close my eyes, and I love you, Mr. Donnelly. Forever. I say, making him smile contently as he wraps me in his arms. He kisses the top of my head before making me lie in our bed to rest. I feel my eyes become heavy as sleep slowly creeps on us. He pulls me against him, resting my head on his chest as we both fall asleep. Livy, a few days later, it's Ricky's birthday, he's finally turning 19 today. I can't believe time has gone by so fast. I still have about 8 months before my birthday, but I am so happy right now, nothing can possibly ruin today. I have been preparing non-stop for today for days, making sure to have everything set perfectly. Ricky doesn't want anything big and extravagant, which is impossible since our pack is so big. Our pack alone is hundreds in number. But to make his birthday even more exciting, I went to the extent of sending invitations to some of his old buddies. From what I gather, Ricky was so advanced in his studies, along with a group of other alphas, that they graduated high school a year and a half ahead of everyone. He was just 16 when he graduated high school and finished college in just under 3 years, which gave him time to study for all of his alpha duties with ease. I get why he's so mature, he's always taken things so seriously. And by that I mean everything. So far, I have gotten a response from every single one of his colleagues, except for one who I have no idea whether he will be joining us or not. I hope he does, because I have heard he was Ricky's second best friend in school before Zane became his beta. He's also an alpha, but I get it if he doesn't come because his pack is really far from us. We made the last arrangements, checked every detail, and waited for Ricky to get out of his office as the guests began to arrive. I greeted everyone with a huge smile as each guest from our neighboring pack and friends of Ricky began arriving. Everything was perfect. I sensed a strong aura, almost, if not as strong as my brother's and Ricky's, entering through our door, and I couldn't help but turn. I tilted my head, seeing a tall man with a dominant posture enter. I remember what Ricky had told me about his best friend and the last time they had seen each other. Alpha Hunter Black. I am so happy you made it. I didn't think you would come, since we didn't receive word of your reservation to your invitation. I said, smiling at him and extending my hand out to shake his hand. His eyes turned dark for a mere second, and then his lip tugged slightly into a smirk. The big scar over his left eye made him look even more mysterious, just as Ricky had told me. Luna Danley. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for the invitation. I apologize for my lack of communication and for not responding to your invitation. I've been so busy. I thought I wasn't going to be able to make it, but I just couldn't miss today. Alaric is a good friend and I just had to come and greet the old rascal, he says, smiling. He delicately grabs my hand, pulling it forward and placing a kiss on my knuckles. Where is Alaric? I should greet him accordingly, he says just as I hear a gasp. I turn and see Leah at the door, looking at the man before me. It's you, she says, making me confused. You know each other? I ask, making him clench his jaw. I couldn't ignore the small growl leaving him. He looked bothered by her. Could he be one of her many flings? God, she has been unbearable since the day she and Skyla broke their mating bond. No. We do not, he says, looking away from her. But, you're no. I am not. So sorry, Luna Danley. Will you excuse me for a second? I have a personal matter I must take care of, he says, lowering his head slightly, then turns and grips Leah by the arm and pulls her away with him. Okay. That was rather odd. Molly, Ricky's twin sister, says, coming to stand beside me. Tell me about it. I say, rolling my eyes. I paid no mind. Leah screwed around with so many men before Skyla and she became the leaders of the Silver Moon Pack that I won't be surprised if he was one of many on her list. Everyone joined me in surprising Ricky on his birthday, and the bright smile on his face was more than worth all the efforts. Third-person POV. As the last preparations were made to ensure Ricky's birthday was a success, Alpha Hunter drove like a maniac toward his old buddy's pack to congratulate him on his birthday. He fixed his tie and took a glance at his rearview mirror to check his hair. Every strand of his jet black hair was slicked back perfectly. The deep scar over his left eye reminded him of the mess he and Carrick got into as kids, making him nod, chuckling as he remembered the little time they had to act mischievous. He remembers it as if it was yesterday, taking a dumb dare from another Alpha to be to go and taunt a rogue as part of their welcoming into their new school. Everyone, besides a handful of them that included him and Ricky, was much older than them. They wanted to look stronger and brave than the rest, taking on the date. They went after the rogue, taunting and provoking the savage rogue to fight. If it hadn't been for Ricky and Zane, he would probably have not made it out that day. He rushed through traffic and made his way to the pack's border, greeting the guards and showing them the invitation. He sped inside and was warmly welcomed by Livy, but his blood boiled the second he saw that woman from the night he had gone to rescue his older sister, Athena. He wasn't ready for a mate, nor did he want one. He saw a mate as a weakness, a vulnerability he was not willing to have in his life. Besides, from the few times he had talked to Ricky over the phone, he had already heard of this woman, and the last he needed was a troublemaking Luna who was too selfish for her own good. If ever he took on a Luna and mate, it had to be someone worth his time and effort, not someone who was too worried about the dress she had to wear tomorrow and look down on the rest of the pack. Surely he was not a man to be reckoned with. His pack knew he meant business, and sadly, some of his members were even afraid of him and his short temper, but he was a gentle soul underneath all that anger. It's you. You're no. I am not, he says, gritting his teeth in anger. Why had the moon goddess partnered him with such an awful mate? Surely he had to have done some awful things to deserve such fate. But no, he would not stand for it. I apologize, Luna Danelli. If you would excuse me, he says, pulling on Leah's arm along with him. He goes to a secluded hallway and lets her go harshly, pinching the curve of his nose and sighing with closed eyes. It was you. You're my mate. I saw you that night. The night we rescued the Rogue King, she says with a smile, getting closer to him and placing her hands on his chest. Look, listen here. What's your name? He says, looking at her with dark eyes. Leah drools over him, seeing his muscled and tall posture. His jaw clenched in a way that turned her on, and the expensive suit told her she had just won the lotto. He was wealthy, he had to be since he was wearing such an extravagant suit. Leah. My name is Leah Harrison. You're my mate, she says, making him irritated. He grabs her hands as she sees her trying to place them on his chest again and growls. Hunter Black, Alpha of the Blood Moon Pack of the North, reject you, Leah Harrison, as my mate and rebuke you as the Luna of my pack. I want nothing to do with you. You are henceforth denied any right to my pack and are not allowed to set foot on my territory, ever, he says, coming close to her with his last word, gritting his teeth and growling at her as his eyes turn darker, making her shake in fear. Third-person POV. Hunter looks at Leah with a side smirk, sure of himself for rejecting the woman standing before him. She was a beauty indeed, but he knew better than to fall for a pretty face and a gorgeous body with zero care for the world. "I do not accept your rejection," Leah says, gritting her teeth and looking at him with anger. He leans closer, seeing her hands fisting and body shaking in anger. "I don't think I asked if you wanted to reject me, woman." "I will not," he says, speaking in his alpha tone, making her become fearful. She takes a step back, seeing him so close, and I repeat. "I will not be stuck with a mediocre mate like you. Now you can either accept my rejection, or don't. I can give a rat's ass." He takes a step back, fisting his hands to try and control his wolf, who is also fighting the thought of being stuck with her and her wolf. There have been times when the human side of them will reject each other, but the wolf side of them will fight, feeling the pull of the mating bond. But in Hunter's case, his wolf Leo was fighting as well, sensing Leah's wolf was just as snobby and arrogant as Leah was. Leah's eyes became teary, and she was caught between hating him and wanting what he had. She could care less if he ever touched her, as long as she could take over as Luna of the Blood Moon Pack of the North. She had been investigating for the past few days. Their pack was crazy wealthy, just like Alaric's pack. They were filthy rich, and she was not going to pass on the opportunity to have it all. "You don't even know me. How can you just reject me like that?" she says as she sees him turn on his heel, ready to leave. "I know plenty of you," he growls, looking back and making her jump in place. His eyes were dark and fierce, making the scar on his left eye seem more scary. "Alaric is my best friend. I know everything I need to know." He turns back to her and walks closer. "How you treat people. How you treated his Luna. How you manipulate people to your benefit. The least I need is some manipulative, narcissistic person mistreating my people. I will repeat myself, and think wisely about what I will do next, because I will not tolerate anyone trying to freeload off of me and my pack," he roars, standing so close she can almost see the darkness of his wolf's soul. "I, Hunter Black, Alpha of the Blood Moon Pack of the North," he says in his alpha tone once more, making her fear for her life. "Reject you, Leah Harrison, to be my mate and Luna of my pack. Do I make myself clear?" he says, making her tears fall freely. The anger surges through her veins. She had never felt so humiliated in her life as she did at this moment. But if he was not lying about being Alaric's best friend, then he knew everything about her. It was at this moment that she felt a tiny bit of regret for how she had treated Livy in the past. Maybe if she had treated everyone else like been a bit nicer to her, just maybe her plans of being the mate of a MILLI0NAIRE alpha hadn't backfired right now. But the moment had passed, and she became more angered, feeling hatred overtake her toward Livy. It wasn't fair. Why did that mutt have all the luck? She was nothing. One, she had always hoped to be rich, and have a rich alpha mate. Preferably, Brandon. Ever since she was little, she had dreamed of being his mate. Why did life have to take him away from her? She grew up hating Livy, thinking in her mind that it was because of Livy he was gone, thus taking away her chance of becoming his mate. On the night of the rescue, she thought that the heavenly scent of her mate was coming from Brandon, but she was wrong, it was Hunter. She was love-struck at the sight, seeing him standing with his expensive suit and strong masculine physique. He was just a bit taller than Skyla, much more muscular, and looked much wealthier. And she wasn't wrong. Skyla had nothing anymore. No territory, no money. For all she cared, Madeline could have him. But she also found that Hunter was cold-hearted, and wouldn't think twice about killing anyone. She saw it that night of the attack. She saw how he ripped one werewolf after another to help Alaric. He didn't even seem fazed about how that expensive suit was ripped to shreds. She also had to ask him about that girl he was protecting so much. Maybe it was his whore. It had to be. That's why he doesn't want me, because he already has a chosen mate. But no. I'm his mate, not that stupid girl, she thinks to herself, gritting her teeth furiously. Why? Why are you doing this to me? She says as the mating bond continues to break, filling her chest with pain. She holds her chest, heaving with pain and making it hard for her to breathe as the tears continue to fall. It's because of that stupid girl you were with that night I met you, isn't it? She says as her breath becomes staggered. What? He asks, dumbfounded. That girl, she cries. With the long blonde hair. She wore a ripped blue dress. I saw you. I saw the way you were protecting her. I saw how you ordered your men to take her to safety, she complained, making him realize what she was talking about. He begins to laugh mockingly, throwing his head back in amusement. That was my sister, for your information. And I don't have to explain anything to you. Do you understand me? He says, taking the pain of the mating bond rejection rather well. Leah sees no other way out. She's angry, more than she had ever been, but she sees there is no other way around this as the dreams of becoming his Luna fade away. She closes his eyes, holding her chest as her cheeks are stained with her tears. I, Leah Harrison, former Luna of the Silver Moon Pack, accept your rejection and forfeit the position as the Luna of the Blood Moon Pack of the North, she says, shutting her eyes tighter, crying uncontrollably and fisting her hand over her chest. She falls to her knees from the pain in her chest, leaving her feeling weak. Hunter feels the mating bond break, and he feels the pain in his chest, but he fights through it as his wolf takes some of the pain away. Before she is able to open her eyes, Hunter is already gone, leaving her feeling deflated, broken, and alone. For the first time, she had tasted the same bitterness she had caused in many others. To make matters worse, she realizes Evelyn had been standing close by and witnessed the rejection. She wipes her tears in anger and stands on her feet, walking with her hands fisted. Leah. I am so sorry, shut up. Get out of my way, she says, walking past her. There was no way she was staying around. The guests were slowly arriving, and the last she needed was to see how everyone would mock her for being rejected. She would get revenge one day, it didn't matter how long it took her. She would take revenge on Hunter and make sure to keep fighting for what she wanted. For what she thought she deserved. She goes to her room, gathers her things, and sneaks into Skyla's new room, seeing everyone was too busy with the party to take notice. She knows his combinations and passwords, so she takes advantage, transferring thousands into an account she had secretly opened, grabbing all the cash he had in his safe, along with all of the jewelry inside, and sneaking out of the pack house. With Skyla's keys in hand, she places her luggage and goods in the trunk and speeds off. She was sure that by the time they realized she was gone, it was too late for them to catch her. Livy, the party began and I was pleased to see that for the most part, it seemed everything was going off perfectly. All of the guests were excited, and what made me feel even happier was the big smile on Ricky's face. It was a genuine smile, one that made me feel at ease. He introduced me to all of his old school buddies and their mates. All of Ricky's friends and their dates seemed so nice. My brother felt awkward at first, and yes, I know. He's still considered a rogue, but for tonight and while he is staying with us, under our protection, no one is allowed to touch him or anyone in his pack for that matter. Orders and threats by none other than my wonderful husband, Ricky, of course. And now that his friends know about our situation and met the real Rogue King, they also warned everyone to treat Brandon and his pack with respect. I don't know what is it about this guy, Hunter though. He looks scary, but he's extremely nice. But it gave me bad vibes when he had to step away to talk to Leah. Speaking of the she-devil, I have not seen her all night, and I know for a fact she was ready for this party. My goddess, I hope she is not up to something sketchy. Whatever happened between her and Hunter a few hours back has me in thoughts I don't want to say. I don't know if I should be asking him. Or maybe I should ask Evelyn. Maybe I should leave it alone, I don't know. It's troubling my mind though. I was dancing with Ricky in the middle of the dance floor, smiling away as kids ran playfully together and everyone rejoiced when my brother came to my side. "May I cut in?" he asks cordially, holding his hand out to me and smiling at Ricky. Ricky is really territorial when it comes to me, as every wolf with their mate I would suppose. But he was becoming comfortable around my brother. He smiles, unwrapping his arms around me and gesturing for my brother to proceed. "I'll be at our table, sweetheart," he says, holding my hand and kissing my knuckles as he steps away. I can't help but blush as he smiles, and winks before leaving me with my brother. "May I?" he asks, holding his hand out for me. "You may," I say giggling. I always dreamed of being able to dance at least one song with my sister. And no matter how much thought I put into it, I can't believe I am finally here with you dancing, he says, with a bright smile, bringing tears to my eyes. The truth is, I always dreamed and hoped he was alive too. How I longed to see him, hug him, dance with him and Dad. I'd cry just at the thought, and yet, here we are now. Don't cry, baby sis. I'm just so happy. I thought I had lost you and Dad forever. I wish Mom was still here, with us. I said as the tears fell freely. He looks at my scar, taking a big sigh and wiping my tears away. I know. Believe me, if I could go back to that day I would try harder. If I had known he says, closing his eyes and clenching his jaw as a tear betrays him, falling from his left eye. Dad and I looked for you. We never stopped looking for you, Liv, he says, as he pulls me into a bear hug. His woodsy scent filled my heart with a feeling of protection and warmth. I know, brother. You don't know how happy I am that we are finally together again. I say, hugging him around his torso and resting my head on his chest. He and I danced a few songs until Dad joined us. My best friend Desiree joined us soon and she danced with Dad, though it was difficult for him because of his back. The medicine and therapy our doctors have him doing are helping him slowly recover, but he still has to take it easy. We ate and celebrated Ricky's birthday in peace, and let me tell you, if Hunter said something to upset Leah and make her cave herself in her room, I would be forever in debt to him, because I have not seen her all night. I need to remind myself to thank him later because the last I needed was to deal with her drama tonight. Everyone has been enjoying themselves drama-free. But it was short-lived. As we began to quiet down and people began to withdraw into their rooms, Skyla and Nadalyn came out hysterically. "Where is she? Tell me where she is." "That good-for-nothing hag," he says as he storms toward Evelyn, who is sitting on a visiting beta's lap. Her eyes widen in shock and she stands up abruptly. I don't know what you're talking about, Sky. Don't play stupid with me, Evelyn. Where is Leah? I'm going to kill her." The few of us who were still out couldn't help but stop dead in our tracks and wonder what was happening. "Tell me where she is or so help me, I will, Sky, dear. What's the matter with you? What's going on?" his mom says as she comes to his side worriedly and places her hand on his shoulder. "Ricky and I went to them." Regardless of this being a personal matter, this was still our pack and it was our obligation to keep peace. "She stole everything, Mom." "Everything," he says sounding desperate. He runs his hands through his hair, cursing under his breath as Madeline tries to comfort him. "Calm down, sweetie. What do you mean? Who stole everything?" she asks for clarification. "Leah, Mom. Who else? That stupid wench took everything. Every last penny from my account, the money we had saved in the safe box, even the jewelry, everything. Her scent was so poignant in my room, that I just knew it had to be her. I went to her room to confront her, but she was not there. My car keys are gone, and none of her stuff is in her room," he says, making my eyes widen in shock. Ricky and I exchanged looks and we alerted the guards, but she had already crossed the borders. They had seen her, and she said she was going out to visit a friend, allowing her to cross over seeing she had her luggage. They didn't think much of it, being she takes off all the time. He says, kicking a concrete bench by his side. "She can't be far, Skyla. I will send my men after her. We'll track your vehicle and her every step. She won't get far, I promise you that," Ricky affirms, making Skyla frustrated. "What's the use? She would rather burn the money or throw it down a well before giving it back." What am I going to do now?" he asks, turning toward Madeline and cupping her face. "I had plans to buy you your engagement ring this weekend. And I have so many contractors waiting to be paid for all the work they were doing at our pack territory. I had plans of rebuilding our rightful Al-Zero-Ha-S cottage and having you and I live there," he says, making my eyes widen. "Him and Maddie? Living in my old home? Kind of weird, but hey, for all it's worth, that home felt magical when I had my family there. We will look for a solution, Sky. Don't worry. I'm sure we can come up with something," she says, holding his hands. "Alpha, we might have a clue. She went eastbound, toward the king's castle," one of our guards says, looking at Ricky. Skyla's eyes widen, hoping for good news. "Great. Tate, assemble a group. Go after her. But don't hurt, he pauses looking at me. He clears his throat and looks back toward Tate, who is awaiting orders. Don't kill her. If she resists, you know what to do, he says, clenching his jaw. My hormones have been haywire, and I am for some odd reason or whatnot, very territorial with him right now. Calm down, Wolfie. You know that's his mood, do not harm women, protect women, yada yada yada. Freya taunts me in her thoughts. Shut it, Freya. I say, making her chuckle. Baby, it's late. Why don't you go and rest? I will talk to my friends and see what plan we can come up with to help Alpha Skyla. Ricky suggests, making me pout. Though I want to protest, I am tired, and these stilettos are making my feet ache a little. Okay. Maddie, why don't we go for a nice warm cup of coffee? We'll let the boys play with their gadgets. I say as I tap on the tablet Tay is holding as he types away, already trying to track her down by looking for Skyla's car. If he can hack into Skyla's GPS, they won't take long to find her. Goddess, this is a mess. I had plans for tonight to surprise Ricky, but I guess now, it's going to have to wait. Could it be possible that Leah and he had a plan to drain Skyla of the money he had? Because let me tell you, it may not be even 30% of what we have, but it was still a lot of money. Enough to live in luxury for at least a decade without having to move a muscle or work. How can you be so sure, Freya? I ask my wolf as I guide Maddie into the pack house and toward the kitchen. Because I can feel his heart. He might look scary and all, but then again, so did Alaric, right? He's not Alaric's best friend for no reason. He's got a big heart, I can feel it. For all you know, maybe he was Leah's true mate, and he dumped her. In return, her psycho retaliated by taking her anger out on what she does best, running, and hiding. To do that, she needed money. Who else to steal from than her ex? She probably knew all his passwords, she says, making a bit of sense. But still, why him? Skyla and she were done and over with. Why steal from him, if she knows he doesn't have much? You think she would be stupid enough to try and steal from you and Ricky? Alarms would be set off within the second and the whole pack would be after her. She's not going to risk dying before she can reach the pack's door. Freya says, making me roll my eyes. Whatever her plan is, or whatever truly happened, I just hope she's out of our lives for good, I say, making Freda sigh. Yeah, I suppose you're right. I hope she never gets found, and if she does, she never comes back our way. Freya adds. I am just glad that Ricky's birthday was a success, I say, smiling unconsciously. Hey, what about Brandon? Did he go to sleep as well? Freya asks, not feeling his wolf close by. No. He left with Lucian. Probably in the cellar, having a drink of that 1800s bottle. I say, making her chuckle. My father-in-law took pride in his precious collection, and he was probably already going through the umpteenth bottle for my dad and brother to try since the day they came to our pack. Whatever the deal with Leah was, Freya was right, I hope that she never comes back. She can stay far, far away from us. Third-person POV. Leah was sure she had gotten away, but there was one little thing she had forgotten inside that little noggin of hers. While she enjoyed the new route she had tapped into that screen of hers to guide her toward her new destination, she forgot that the car was equipped with the most updated software and tracking program. Alaric and Skyla were tracking her every move, and the alliance with Hunter had come with its benefits. He had notified authorities about Leah and asked them to work in secrecy until she came close to the borders of the new country she was migrating to in hopes of new beginnings. She just used her new card in a convenience store to fill for gas, Tate says as he looks at the screen of the laptop in front of him. Where is she now? Skyla asks as he bites his fingernail nervously. Just a bit into Detroit, sir, Tate says, looking between Skyla and Hunter. Look. Do you really need to go after her? I mean, the girl has gone far enough, and from all the shit she's done to all of you, I think it would be best if you just forgot about her, don't you think? Hunter says, making Sealer growl in annoyance. You don't get, man. She's evil. I let her get away with a lot, but I will not stand for her to take another penny that belongs to my pack. She was my mate, and I blindly let her manipulate me for far too long. But no more. Someone needs to teach Leah the consequences of her actions. And that would be you. Hunter says, making Skyla growl. Yes. Maybe, look, I couldn't care less about the money if I'm being honest. But the fact that she would do that to me, after everything I did for her. I put her first, I rejected my first mate for her. Turned my back on everyone, and turned a blind eye to all of her doings because I thought we were meant to be. I chose her as my mate because I loved her. And I thought she did too. But, she was just using me. Skyla says, making Hunter feel sorry for him. I get it, he says, making Skyla look at him doubtful. No, I'm serious. I get it. I had a girlfriend in school. I fell madly in love with her, and I was ready to make her my chosen mate because I hadn't found mine. We wanted to love each other and be with each other forever. But when she turned 19 last year, she found her mate. She didn't think twice before she left with him. Hunter says, making Sealer feel bad for him. I was crushed. Ready to kill everyone who stood in front of me from the hurt I felt inside when Leah found me on the day I went to rescue my sister and you guys rescued all the girls and Brandon. I just couldn't have it. I doubted myself for a second rejecting Leah as my fated mate, but, from all I've heard from you guys, I think I dodged a bullet there, he says, shaking his head. Skyla couldn't help but chuckle slightly, still feeling a bit of pain for Leah. Yeah, I guess. She wasn't always like this. I don't know what happened, she was so nice and sweet when we were growing up. But maybe I was just as blind back then, who knows? I wish things had been different, he says, sitting on a chair next to him. She's on the move. Tate cuts them off, making them turn toward him. Don't lose her. She shouldn't take long before coming up to the border. Hunter says, clenching his jaws. He looks at the screen as he stands behind Tate and looks at the screen. The little red dot moves through the map on the screen as Leah drives through a highway toward the US and Canada border. We can't have humans be involved. They'll want the DEA or authorities to take over the case. Make sure that all the agents working the shift are our kind. Hunter says, giving orders to his men. One of them nods and leaves immediately as he gets Zero and his phone. Meanwhile, Leah smiles as she grips the steering wheel tightly. The winter is starting to feel cooler up north, making her turn off her air conditioner and roll the window down to feel the fresh air. It smelled like freedom and a new beginning. She sighs, feeling the air in her face, making her hair flow effortlessly flawless. Just 4 more hours and I am a free woman. No more Skyla, no more Hunter, and no more Olivia, she says, gritting her teeth at the end. I have my money, my shoes, my clothes, my jewelry, and everything I can ever want or need. What else can a girl want? She says to herself, as she smiles and looks at herself in the rear-view mirror. Skyla and Madeline. And Hunter, it's his loss. He has no clue what he let go of. He will regret rejecting me, one day he will regret it. And I will be too far gone when he realizes it, she says, smiling to herself. I mean, who does that? Just look at me. I'm smart. So many men wanted to be with me, and he had his chance. I was destined to him. She begins to tear up, gritting her teeth in frustration. He let his fateful mate slip through his hands. The one Arluna destined him to be with, and for what? Now he gets to be all alone. For the rest of his pathetic life, she says, yelling toward the end. She let out a frustrated yell and clenched her jaw. Hunter! You'll regret this one day, I guarantee it. She says, feeling sure of herself. But the long drive has her worn out. She's ready to call it a night. She sees a small motel sign just 10 miles ahead. When she comes up to it, she sees it a bit run down, and the place reeks of humans, but she is far too tired to care. Third-person POV Leah makes it to the small motel, and checks in. She's given a small dingy room. It smells dirty and dingy, and the place obviously lacked a lot of maintenance. But it would do for now. She just needed a few hours of sleep before being on her way again. But as she slept, a noise from outside awoke her. Her wolf senses and heightened hearing were making her aware something was wrong. She looks out the window and sees 2 men running quickly, jumping into a car and speeding off. When she looked over to the other side in the opposite direction of where they were running, she realized they had just broken into her car. No, 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 she runs outside quickly, and sees her trunk open, her car door opened and her car door handle broken. No, she yells, frustratingly. She had only taken one small bag out to change while she rested, along with the purse with all the cash she had just stolen from Skyla, leaving the rest behind in the car. She realized the rest of her luggage that had been left behind was gone, the bag she had left in the back seat with all the jewelry gone, and even her phone was gone as she had left it charging in the car since she didn't have an adapter. Her eyes turn dark with anger as she storms back inside to grab her keys and belongings, running back into her car and speeding off. If she hurried, she could follow the scent of the men as it was still strong in her car. Tracking down the tire tracks since it was still daylight. She speeds off and goes after them, but after a while, she loses them, making her scream and hit the steering wheel frustratingly. There's no point in continuing, she doesn't see the tracks anymore and their scent is gone, but just as she is ready to give up, she sees the same vehicle parked in front of a small rundown diner. She growls, and parks next to it, busting inside the restaurant and making everyone turn. The three men that were in the car were laughing, rejoicing from their small victory. "You! Give me back my stuff," she yells at them, pointing toward the men. Who are you?" "We ain't got your stuff, lady," one of the men says, menacingly as he stands up and tries to look tough. His pungent smell of human makes her feel disgusted as she looks at him angrily. "Don't give me that shit! I saw you three running with my stuff. Give it back, before I really get pissed off," she says, making the three men look at her and then burst out in laughter. She growls, at their amusement. "Or what? The little lady is going to teach us a lesson," he says, jokingly. "Try it, and find out," she says, fisting her hands. "Listen you, why don't you get you out of here, before you make me angry?" he says, fisting his hands, trying to intimidate her. "Give me back my stuff," she says, making his friends stand up. "You heard our buddy, girl. Get out of here," another of the men says, making her get angrier. "You asked for it," she says, cracking her neck and letting her wolf partially take over, making their eyes go wide in horror as they see her eyes turn dark, her canines exposed as she launches herself toward them. It's not long before she attacks them, making the woman inside the dinner scream in terror. But by the time she realizes what she has done, the cook has already called the cops, making her panic about what she did as she sees the blood everywhere. She stands there in shock, thinking of what to do. One of the main rules they have is to never let humans know of their existence. Only a handful know of the werewolf because they are either mated to one or live among them. It's very rare for humans to know of their existence, and very dangerous, and she has just exposed herself out of anger. She hears sirens in the long distance, and she looks at them, realizing one of them has called the cops. She hurried out, opened the door to their car, and takes all of her stuff out. They had already begun looking through her stuff, seeing some of her luggage open. She closes it, tosses it into her trunk and takes off. She speeds away and drives like a maniac, driving through a narrow road. The road is very narrow, and the sky is slowly getting darker, making the tall forest trees make the road look darker than it should. Her heart thumps uncontrollably, but the adrenaline keeps her foot pressed down at its max as she speeds through. She looks back, and sees the faint lights of the sirens, hoping they didn't notice her car driving away from them. She sighs and presses on the accelerator harder, making her turn with a slight swerve. She panics as she sees bright lights coming the opposite way, making her eyes go wide as her car swerves, trying to avoid hitting the car on the opposite side of her. Her car flips on its side as the tires hit a slope, making it slide on its side until it goes down the cliff, hitting a tree yards away from the other car. Her head is badly hurt, and she grunts before passing out. "Stay with me, okay, stay with me. I'll get help," she hears a faint voice as she goes in and out of conscience. She's in so much pain as she looks down and sees a big piece of wood sticking out of one of her legs, making her scream in panic before she loses consciousness. Skyla and Hunter are following the gaps, but suddenly the dot on the screen disappears, making them look at each other worriedly. "It's just a minor setback. This is the only road, we just have to follow it," Hunter says as he continues to drive. They come up to dinner, hoping to eat, but the place is cornered off by police and yellow tapes. They look at each other as they see a bed with a black bag on top, but Skyker holds his breath as he gets Leah's scent. They say in unison as they stop to look. "Livy, this can't be good. Did you check and make sure it wasn't her?" "Yeah, I know this is bad, but you gotta check." "Okay, I'll talk to the council. I'm sure they can take care of this." I sat at the edge of Ricky's desk, listening to him talk over the phone with Hunter. There had been an accident on their way to look for Leah. Couldn't quite listen, because Hunter was sure to speak low, and Ricky also had his volume at its lowest. Both of them have very sensitive hearing, and can probably hear what is happening a mile away, if not more. He hangs up the phone, frustrated, and sighs with his head hanging. "Is everything okay?" I asked, placing my hand on his shoulder. He wraps his hand around my waist and pulls me onto his lap. "No. Just when we had Noah, he disappeared on us again, and now I need to go and take care of another incident caused by Leah, babe. This girl is going to expose our world and all because of her stupid actions," he says, making me worried as I wrap my arms around his neck. "Why? What happened?" I ask and hug him around his head as he places his head on my chest. "I hate adulting today. I am so done," he says, making me chuckle. He tells me everything, from the attack inside the diner to the murmurs of the workers being horrified that they saw a girl who looked possessed and attack 3 men inside, ripping them to pieces. "Well, at least now we know Leah can fight. You just need to piss her off for him to do it," I said jokingly, making Ricky look at me with a scold. "Just kidding," I said, making him chuckle. "Yeah, I suppose you're right though. I need to talk to Dad. See what he and the council can do about it. We need to act quickly though. We can't have her or anyone expose us to the human world. They're not ready for us. We'd be hunted, like in the old days," he says, making me worried. "There was a time when every creature was free to roam freely in the world and share the lands with the humans, but the humans were weak and didn't understand many of our costumes. They began to gather and caused feuds, wars, and misunderstandings among our own. We had to separate ourselves from them. For their own good and their protection, we had to separate ourselves. Otherwise mankind, or the human race as we know it, would have become extinct. What do I do? Do you need me to help with anything?" I ask, standing up and looking at him worriedly. "No, baby. You go with your normal schedule. I'll take care of this, okay? Don't worry about it. There's been other incidents like these, and the council always takes care of it. There are a few groups of humans that do know of our existence, and they are always willing to help. We'll get in contact with them and ask for their help again," he says, making me feel a bit more at ease. Alaric, I hate keeping secrets from Livy. If she finds out, she's going to kill me. I say as I walk next to Zane with my hands fisted. He tilts his head slightly and sighs. "Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that if she finds out the truth, she's probably going to go psycho on you, dude," Zane adds with a chuckle, making me grunt inwardly. The truth is, that Hunter and I are keeping a big secret from everyone, including Livy and the council. We found Noah trying to escape the other night when we went to rescue the girls and Brandon. Or more like, Hunter caught him. He also caught Hector, for which, I gotta give him extra points for that shit. Hunter has them locked up in his dungeon, and he refuses to give them up to the council. Truthfully, no one knows they are both in his dungeon. Hunter has been keeping them busy and giving them a warm welcome for all they did to his sister and the girls that they had in Hector's dungeon. He was going to just scare Hector off a little and kill Noah, but after I talked to him and told him everything they had been up to, he lost it. When Hunter was a young teen, and we both got sent out to the King's Academy, he found out his high school crush had been missing. It wasn't until we both got to go back home from the academy that he found out she was no longer in her pack. She had been sold off by her dad, the beta of her pack, to one of these scumbag excuses for alpha. We never found her, and he was heartbroken. He swore that he would never take a mate, and honestly, I feel a little bad for Leah, but I get how this affected him. He was madly in love with this girl for the longest time. He always hoped that she was his mate. Are we ready to go? Brandon says as he fixes the button on the sleeve of his jacket. I had already gotten in contact with the council about what was happening with Leah. They are going to be busy for a while, at least enough for us to do what we need to do. Yet. Are you sure you want to go through with this? You don't have to do this, you know. We can take care of everything. I said, looking at him as I opened the door to my car. I didn't want anyone to know where we were heading, and Hunter was wise enough to convince Skyla to let him tag along while they looked for Leah. This way, he would ensure that he kept him away for long enough to go with our plan. I wouldn't miss this for anything. It's time Noah knew who I really was. It's payback time, he says as he gets in the car on the passenger side, making Zane and I exchange worried looks. I am not going to take it easy on Noah, he's going to pay for everything he did to those girls, but I especially want to pay him back for all he made my wife go through. I tilt my head and sigh, signaling to Zane to get in. I turn the engine on and make my way to Hunter's pack. Noah has no clue where he is, and he especially doesn't know that I am on my way. It's payback he will regret ever messing with my sister. Hunter writes back soon as I let him know we are on our way to his dungeons. Make sure he gets a good look at my sister when you finish him off. She has to be the last thing he sees before he dies, he writes back, and I immediately erase all traces of the texts afterward. Let's roll, I say as I place the car into drive and speed off. Third-person POV. You won't be long, will you? Livy asked Ricky over the phone as they parked the car and turned off the engine. No, baby. I just need to take care of a few little things while Hunter is away with Skyla. I'll be back before dinner, I promise. Okay. Oh, and Ricky. Yes, love. Why don't you ask Hunter to come over for dinner? I have a few things I wanted to talk to you two about, she says nonchalantly. Okay, sure. I'll let him know. But I'm not sure if he will be home tonight, babe. Just, tell him. Okay, she asks, sounding a little irritated. She had been on edge lately, and the last he wanted was to irritate his Luna. Okay, baby. I'll make sure we're both back before dinner. Great. See you then, she replies a little enthusiastically before hanging up. Brandon, Zane, and Ricky got out of the car, a little too pumped up and ready for what they were about to do. They placed Noah inside a ring and forced him to put on gloves and face each one of them at a time. Zane, Alaric, and Brandon took joy in facing Noah face to face. They only had one rule: no wolves allowed. Neither opponent was allowed to let their wolf out. The men took joy in seeing Noah struggle to keep up in a fight with them. The notorious merciless alpha who glorified himself in hurting others was now being taken down by 3 young men not much older than his son. Had enough, old man? This is for all the times you hurt those girls. Alaric says as he lands a punch on Noah's stomach and then hits him in the jaw. Noah throws a punch, but he's too tired and misses Ricky, almost falling as he struggles to stay upright. This is for every time you violated one of them, you filthy pig, he says, punching him on his cheek, and making Noah fall to the ground as he continues to hold his stomach from the punches Ricky had already landed on him. And this, Alaric says, as he rips off his glove and grabs Noah by his shirt. Noah's clothes were tattered, and filled with blood. His body was covered in bruises and scrapes. This is so you learn to never put your filthy hands on my wife. You should have never placed your hands on my Livy, he says as he hovers over Noah and begins to punch him in the face repeatedly. He was far too furious. The more he landed punches at Noah, the angrier he got, fighting his wolf as Black demanded for him to calm down. We can't kill him, Rick. I know you're mad, I want to rip his throat out too, but remember the plan. Black says, making Ricky growl. The plan? I'm going to kill this mother, enough. Brandon says as he steps in, grabbing Ricky's hand. Ricky lets out a disapproving growl, exposing his canines and his eyes turn dark. You better calm down, kid. Don't forget who I am. I'm not your ordinary little alpha. Brandon says as he exposes his canines as well, growling in return. Enough. Both of you. Zane calls out, making them exchange menacing glares. Noah chuckles, unable to open his eyes from how swollen they were. He spits out blood, struggling to stand up. Even if I died in this, you will never get your pack back, you imbecile little twerp. I made sure your daddy signed over his rights to the pack for good. You'll never be the alpha of Silver Moon. Never, you hear me? Brandon fists his hand, decking Noah on his jaw and making him fall. A loud cracking noise sounds as Noah's jaw breaks, making him groan in pain before he goes unconscious. Hector growls, gripping the bars of his cell with anger. The silver of the cell bars burns his hands, but his anger and frustration are too much. He knows he's next, and seeing how they have been torturing Noah only adds to his anxiety. That'll teach you to shut up. Brandon says, spitting next to Noah on the floor. What did he mean? Did your dad really sign away his rights to the pack? Ricky asks, looking at Brandon with his hands fisted. This was news to him. He was not aware of this grave news. He was under the influence. He took advantage of my pop when he was mourning my mom and my supposed death. He wasn't aware of Noah's intentions. He placed the papers in a pile with the paperwork Dad needed to submit. Dad was so distraught that he wasn't being careful. He just wanted to finish work and go back to Livy as soon as possible, but he never saw what he had done. I'll be damned if I let Noah keep taking advantage of the pack though. Whether the pack stays under my authority or Skyla's, I will make sure the pack is never mistreated again, he adds, making Alaric look at him in concern. Guys, it's Hunter. Bad news. They found Leah's car a few miles from the diner. It's wrecked. It looks like she had a bad car accident, but she's nowhere to be found. Zane says as he holds his phone next to his ear. By the looks of it, the accident hasn't been called in, there's no signs of authorities around the place, he adds, making Ricky and Brandon exchange concerned looks. Ricky holds his hand out, grabbing the phone from Zane. He talks to Hunter, asking for a thorough explanation of the situation. Maybe it's for the best. As long as you took care of the diner, then we can't do much more for her anymore. She's been nothing but trouble from what I hear. If you ask me, I dodge a bullet, big time. Hunter says over the phone. Don't worry. I talked to my dad, he's already informed me that his buddies took care of the situation. Ricky says, making Hunter sigh in relief. Lucian's friends had been able to hack the cameras and make it look like a bear had attacked the men in the diner. A special group by them was assigned to take care of the matter. When they checked the surveillance cameras, the witnesses were left confused. The more they were made to look at the footage, the more they thought about the event and were convinced that what they had witnessed was a bear attacking the men, and not a 19-year-old girl who they thought was probably possessed by a demon, or so they had thought before. Just help Skylar retrieve his belongings and come back. It's out of our hands whatever happens to Leah. She's been enough trouble for all of us. Ricky suggests, making Hunter agree. I suppose you're right. Listen, it's getting a bit late. I'll make sure Tate finishes hacking her computer and all. Once we get all this kid's stuff back, I'll call to let you guys know we're heading back. Ricky nods as if Hunter could see him. All right, man. We're almost done here too. Oh, hey, by the way, why don't you stop by tonight at my place? Livy wanted to talk to us about something. Ricky says as he places his foot on top of Noah, pressing down on his chest as he hears him moan from pain. Noah grunts, as he begins to awaken from being previously knocked unconscious. Great, sounds like a plan. I'll be there. Tate. Are you done already, or what? Hunter yells away from the phone before hanging up. As Alaric signals for the guards to take Noah away and bring Hector out, the doors open, making the men turn. Alaric Danley. What is the meaning of this? Lucian says as he walks in furiously. Zane says, turning pale. Dad. What are you? How did you? Livy figured it out. You. All of you. Have a lot of explaining to do. Car, now, he says angrily as he fists his hands, yelling them in his alpha tone. Livy, I paced back and forth as I waited for my father-in-law to come back home. Ricky acted far too strange on me, and I just knew something was up. It didn't take me much digging. It was quite simple actually. All I had to do was talk to Margot. Zane keeps nothing from her. And when I mean nothing, I mean nothing. She knew what I was going at, and well, at first, she was adamant. She would not budge, but I knew how to make my little bird sing. I had Desiree helped by what I knew Margot could not resist. Books. Margot loves reading. Desiree was able to download hundreds of books for free on her device, all free. And I mean books that would normally have to pay at least $20 or more to read. My little bird sang like the biggest canary. But I was pissed. How could my brother and Ricky keep this from me? I had no choice but to tell my father-in-law what was happening. If the council found out about this, they would be in so much trouble. The car stopped in front of the pack house, and I took off like a bullet, standing in front of the entrance with my hands on my hips. Calm down, Livy. You'll scare him away. Freya suggests, making me growl. Baby, I can explain. Save it. Dinner is almost ready. Ricky. Hunter better be here. I said before turning on my heel and walking away. Wow, you two are in big trouble, my brother says, making me growl and stop in my tracks. You too, Brandon. Dad is expecting you for dinner as well. I say, turning and giving both a glare. They look at each other like worried pups and sigh as they hang their heads. Zane, Margot is waiting for you in the library, I told Zane, making him clear his throat nervously. Thank you, Luna. Excuse me, Alpha, he says, walking past them. But, dinner will be ready in 2 hours. You boys have plenty of time to shower and get ready. Don't be late, my father-in-law says, pointing at them. Another car pulls up, and guards rush to the car, pulling out Alpha Noah, who is covered in blood and bruised everywhere. I felt remorse for a second, but then saw Alpha Hector get out as well. All the things Madeline had told me came back to mind, and I gritted my teeth. They deserve what's coming to them. Livy. Freya says in my head. Whatever. I don't care about them anymore. They can rot in a dungeon for all I care. I just want to make sure Ricky and Brandon are not dragged into this mess anymore. I state, fisting my hands and raising my head high. Noah, oh honey. I hear his wife say as she comes out running. After all this time, after everything he had done, she still loved him. How could she stand to be with such a bad man? I will never understand her. I turn, rolling my eyes as I see the guards refuse her to get close to him as he gets taken away into custody. The council will be here shortly for them. Make sure they are well taken care of, my father-in-law commands, making our guards tilt their heads in respect. Yes, Alpha Lucian, they say as they drag both men away. No. Please, don't hurt him, she calls out after them as he gets taken away. It took no time for the council to arrive. Alpha Noah and Alpha Hector were placed in silver shackles around their hands, waist, and legs. They were both given a silver collar with needle-like points inside to keep them from trying to shift. Our pack members murmured as they witnessed everything. Noah and Hector were finally going to be put away for good. There was no escaping this time. You traitor! You told them about me, didn't you? I should have killed you when I had the chance. Hector yells out as he sees Madeline. I could see a hint of pain in her eyes as he tried to launch himself at her. Skyla steps in front of her, punching him on his jaw, and making him fall to the ground. Everyone gasped, including myself, as I had not been aware they had arrived. I hadn't heard a word from Leah's whereabouts, and it worried me a bit. I was sure she would soon get over her tantrum and return with them. Especially knowing she was in big trouble for what she had caused back at the diner. Regardless of it all, I had business to take care of. News of other girls still being out there under other mean alphas had gotten to me, and I needed my brother, Ricky, Caden, and Hinter to get together and save them. Take him away, my father-in-law commands, gesturing to the king's guards. They nod, grabbing Noah and Hector and placing them in a vehicle. They speed away, but not before thanking my father-in-law and shaking his hand. Margot, Desiree, Molly, and I had already gotten all of the evidence and given it to my father-in-law. It wouldn't be long before they rot in jail or get sentenced to death. You, and you, dinner table, now, I demand, pointing to my brother, Ricky, and Hunter. They give each other concerned stares, making Caden chuckle as he stands next to his dad, Alpha Blake. You too, Caden, Molly adds, making him silent. He hangs his head as they all walk past me and make their way to a dinner table secluded from our pack. It was one of the few times we would be eating separately from our pack during dinner. But it was something that needed to be done. Maybe our packs were finally free from Noah's wrath and Leah's drama, but just as there are good alphas leading their packs to the best of their abilities, there are many corrupt alphas who need to be dealt with. The council and the king have placed their trust in you guys for a reason. We can't put our guard down now. We have so many more people to save. So, what do you guys say? Are you in, or out? My father-in-law asks them as he lands the bomb on them. The king was more than happy with the work they had done. So many corrupt alphas were under arrest thanks to them, that the king wanted to assign them to keep fighting against all the corruption. No. I'm sorry, but, count me out. I'm not working for the king. I do my own thing. As I have all this time, my brother says, making me purse my eyebrows in concern. I'm afraid you don't have a choice, Rogue King. My father-in-law says. I do. Listen. You can either join the group, or you can join Noah and Hector. Many packs were destroyed and as of now, you are still considered a main suspect. No. You know I didn't attack any of them. I was there to help them. It was Noah and all those greedy alphas who were attacking those lands, my brother adds, standing up angrily. Brandon. Sit down, my dad says, giving him a warning glare. Well. We know that, and you know that, and they know that. But the evidence, son. There is little evidence of your benefit, and lots of it pointing against you. They are willing to discharge all that evidence if you are willing to help. Alpha Blake Landon adds, making my brother hit the table slightly with his fist. Brandon, take this as a sign. If it wasn't for you, I would probably be dead. Many of us would be dead. Please, my friend is still out there somewhere. I would hate to find that she's dead and all because no one is willing to be out there and fight for them. Maddie adds with tears threatening to fall in her eyes. She's right. We are obligated to do what's right as the leaders of our packs. We have to do this. Ricky adds, making me smile with pride as my eyes get watery. Sure, this meant new struggles and more risks. But it was for the best. I went through for so many years. I hate to think there are many other girls going through the same situation as I did, or worse. So, what do you say? Are you in? I ask, giving my brother puppy eyes. He looked at me, and his expression softened, making him sigh. Fine. I'm in, he says, making me smile from ear to ear. Livy, I sat at the edge of my bed, combing through my hair with my eyes closed, and enjoying the sound of the first rain of the season. It was soon going to start snowing, I could just feel it. It was cooling down drastically, and Alaric assured me that Skyla's pack was almost done being reconstructed. I couldn't wait for them to leave. Don't get me wrong, most of them are nice to me now. But there are still a few that I do not like around my pack, especially around our young ones. The last I need is for them to start corrupting our teens and get them to start acting like them. So, you're not mad at me for not telling you about Noah? Ricky says, making me startled. I didn't hear when he turned off the shower, I was lost in thought for what I had gone through today. No. Why would I? If I were you, I would have ripped his throat out. I said coldly, making him pause as he gripped his towel around his waist. His body was still dripping, making him look so cute. I bit the inside of my cheek at the sight, making me feel heated. What? He asked, puzzled. You heard me. He deserved to die for all that he caused. If I were you, I would have ended him. Babe, you don't mean that, he says with an unbelieved chuckle. And why not? He took my mother away, made me believe I had no family, and tried to kill my father and brother. He took my father's pack away, killed so many, and violated so many girls. He deserves a very slow and painful death, Ricky. I said, angrily, making Ricky's eyes widen in shock. His expression softened as he took a seat next to me, making me turn toward him. Livy, I know you're still in pain over everything, but you have your dad and Brandon back. And I'm going to try my best to get the pack returned to him. Just be patient with me, please, he says softly, cupping my face. I sighed, closing my eyes. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm so tense lately, and I just, Goddess, am I ready for what's coming? I'm troubled inside. We have had constant fighting, I've seen Ricky come home with his clothes covered in blood, and with bruises, cuts, scrapes. I'm scared. I'm scared of what I'm about to tell him. What if he's not ready? What if something happens to either one of us? Just tell him, Livy. He's going to be so happy. Stop overthinking it. Freya says in my head. I gasp as I feel his thumb graze my cheek. His touch sends sparks through my body. Liv, why are you crying, baby? What's wrong? Did something happen? Did someone hurt you? He asks, getting up abruptly and growling. No. I'm fine. I say, sadly. I turn away, wiping my tears away. I had 100 mixed emotions that I didn't know how to talk to him. Then what is it? What's wrong, baby? Why are you crying? He asks, sitting back down and cupping my face with both hands as he looks at me worriedly. Ricky. We're, I stuttered, and it finally dawned on him as I grabbed my stomach. His eyes grew like saucers and slowly looked down at my hands. Are we having a pup? He says, getting teary-eyed. I begin to sob, happily, nodding my head and making him chuckle as he cries. Oh my goddess! Livy, he yells out, hugging me tightly. He gets on his knees, crying and hugging me around my torso, burying his head on my stomach. I knew it. I knew it the moment I realized there was a change in your scent. I knew it, he says, making me chuckle through tears. I'm scared, Ricky, I admitted, making him look at me with concern. Baby, I know it's scary, but I will not let anything bad happen to you, I promise, he says, kissing my forehead. What if something happens to one of us, Ricky? I couldn't bear to see this baby grow up without either one of us. You and I know what it was like growing up without a parent. You at least had your dad. I had none as a kid, and it wasn't until now that I finally got my dad back. I don't want this baby to hurt, I don't want the baby to suffer, I went on, crying, making Ricky cry with me as he hugs me tightly. Baby, I know it's scary. But we got this. I promise I will give it my all to protect you and the baby, just as SI does with all the members of our pack, and I will be careful too. If you're not ready, I understand. It will hurt, because I love you, and I want a family with you, but I will not force you until you're ready. Ricky, I do. I want this. I'm just so scared. And that's okay. It's okay to be scared, Livy. It is. We are still young, but we can do this. I promise I will not leave your side, baby. I will always be here for you, he says, making me hug him tightly as I cry. We got this, Livy. This baby not only has a mama and Pippa who will love him or her, but a whole pack that will protect and cherish. I can assure you, the baby will be very protected. I promise you, baby, he says, kissing my lips. His hand slowly cups my stomach, making me feel warm inside. I know he's right. If anyone can protect us, it's him. I feel protected by him, I feel at home with him. But I can't help but feel scared. Maybe this is normal, maybe every girl feels scared during their first pregnancy, but I don't know. I just know I am so happy. Scared out of my mind. But so darn happy. I got up and grabbed the papers our pack doctor had given me along with the very first ultrasound of our tiny little peanut. I placed it in his hands and chuckled as I saw him shaking and crying as he looked at the picture. Oh, my goddess! My baby! That's my pup! He's so tiny, he says, crying and wiping his eyes with the back of his hand. Our pup, Ricky. Our pup. I say, Molly G. He turns to me as he engulfs me in a big bear hug and cries in my arms, burying his head in the crook of my neck. You just made me the happiest man in the whole world, love, he says, hugging me tightly. I know more risks and battles are coming, but he's got this, we got this. This baby will not have the same fate we had. He or she will have both parents to take care of him or her and protect their every step. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.